sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
All right, welcome to another edition of What the Hill. Today, we're going to be talking about just how different Raw looked Monday night, if at all. We will be talking about Summerslam, which is this Saturday. I'll be giving my predictions for that. But first, Death Before Dishonor. Death Before Dishonor was the Ring of Honor pay-per-view event that happened this past Saturday. And it was interesting. The pre-show, not so much. But you had 5 title matches, 6 title matches. I'm fixing to pull up the card right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 title matches. And the shock of the night, I think, because it even shocked the commentators. Claudio Castagnoli, formerly known as Cesaro, was set to face Jonathan Gresham, the ROH World Champion, for the title. And we opened the event, and Claudio, the challenger for the world title, his music plays. And the announcers sounded legitimately confused. And I think it's because this was supposed to be the co-main event, along with FTR and the Briscoes in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the ROH Tag Team Championships. But it opened the event. And as the event ended and some things came out, we found out why. Jonathan Gresham, the former, spoiler alert, Ring of Honor World Champion, had a discussion with Tony Khan about how he was booked, how he has been being booked, and just, an aggravation with everything Ring of Honor. And that might be one reason that Gresham looked so bad in this match. Gresham looked like he hadn't wrestled a match in his life. He looked so tough to work with. And I understand the size difference. There was at least a foot discrepancy between the two. And you could tell that he just wasn't all there. Now, again, he does wind up losing the title. And after the event and everything, deleted professional wrestling from his social media accounts. Says that he's going to take an indefinite hiatus from professional wrestling. What that means, I don't know. I know there are reports coming out that Triple H, who is taking over creative and just basically taking over everything in the WWE, is interested in Gresham. Where that leads, how that works out, I don't know. As far as today, I haven't seen anything where Tony Khan has granted Jonathan Gresham his release from his Ring of Honor contract. So he might be taking a hiatus from professional wrestling, but he is still under contract with Ring of Honor. So that's a story that I'll be following fairly closely, just to see what happens, because Jonathan Gresham is a great entertainer. He's a great wrestler. But when you're unhappy at your job, you're not going to perform your best, especially if you're pissed off about how you're being booked, especially if you're upset about how you're being treated. And I don't know the full story. The full story hasn't come out. Jonathan Gresham has just said, hey, I don't like how I'm being booked. You know, Tony Khan was on the Dan Le Batard show Tuesday and said he kind of skipped around everything, which is what he has done all of his media appearances. That's what he always does. He just kind of skips around. He was asked about WWE and asked about buying WWE. He was asked about Gresham, and he just kind of skipped around and said, hey, look, I'm looking towards Dynamite on Wednesday night. I'm looking towards Rampage on Friday night. And if you don't know, Rampage and Dynamite are 9 times out of 10 recorded on the same night. So he did the owner thing. He did the CEO thing. He's looking forward to the future. Death Before Dishonor is in the past, and it was a great event. There was a great card, but it's in the past. Ring of Honor talent is going to continue to come to AEW. AEW talent is going to continue to go to Ring of Honor. They're going to continue to break open the forbidden door with New Japan and AAA and all of that. And he even said that they hope that one day they get to break open the forbidden door with WWE. That's likely now, but I wouldn't hold my breath. I wouldn't count on it in the next year, honestly. Now, the next match was Dalton Castle and the boys, who are Brandon and Brent Tate, against the Righteous, Vincent, Bateman, and Dutch, for the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team championship. I really like this championship. I like a trios tag team championship. And the Righteous being the reigning champions. And I talked about Impact the other day. And there's a team in Impact that I would love to see go for the Ring of Honor World 6-man tag team championships. That's a freaking mouthful. And that's Violent by Design. I think that team, if there became a storyline where that team could go, hey, Honor No More from Ring of Honor, they're trying to take over Impact Wrestling. Why don't we go over to Ring of Honor and try and take over Ring of Honor? Payback. I would love to see Violent by Design go for those titles. But Dalton, Castle, and the boys win the 6-man tag team championships. It wasn't a rough match, but it wasn't the best match of the night. I like the titles, but this match just wasn't. It didn't float my boat. It was about a 10-minute match. It was interesting. It was time-filling. It was entertaining. It did what it needed to do. At the end of the day, Dalton Castle and the boys won the titles from the Righteous. It's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward. I'm sure the Righteous will try to get a rematch. I would love to see, like I said, Violent by Design come in and try and win the titles. We'll see what happens. The next match was Wheeler Yuta, the pure champion, ROH pure champion, against, against Daniel Garcia of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Now, Wheeler Yuta, of course, is a part of the Blackpool Combat Club, managed by William Regal. And William Regal was on commentary for this match, like he was the Ring of Honor World Championship match, because Claudio is a part of the Blackpool Combat Club as well. But he had some opinions about Wheeler Yuta, and this kind of goes back to something that I said when Claudio debuted and kind of showed that he was going to be a part of the Blackpool Combat Club. Wheeler Yuta is, in a sense, on thin ice in the Blackpool Combat Club. He's not a guy who is highly touted for that faction, for that stable. He's not a rough and tough Blackpool Combat Club type of wrestler. And William Regal made that known on commentary. If you don't know, the Pure Wrestling Championship has some different rules. You're only allowed 3 rope breaks. After that third rope break, if you attempt a rope break, the referee is just going to shrug it off. Now, a lot of wrestlers use that to their advantage and try and get their opponent to dispel their rope breaks just back to back to back, because your instinct as a wrestler is, hey, if I'm in trouble, I have this rope to grab, and it'll be a 5 count. Either they break the hold or they're disqualified. It's not how it works in a pure championship match. And William Regal said something to the effect of, hey, if Wheeler Yuta uses a rope break, we're going to have a conversation. If Wheeler Yuta loses this match for, this reason or that reason, we're going to have a conversation. Which tells me that I wouldn't say they're necessarily out on Wheeler Yuta, but he's on thin ice. And I kind of said that when Claudio debuted. You don't need that many people in the Blackpool Combat Club. Daniel Bryanson, John Moxley, and Claudio, all 3 have the same mindset, the same violent mindset. Wheeler Yuta really doesn't have that. And I think it's only a matter of time before Wheeler Yuta is no longer a part of the Blackpool Combat Club. Wheeler Yuta does retain the title against Daniel Garcia, and the code of honor in Ring of Honor is, hey, shake hands before, shake hands after. Daniel Garcia walked out during his entrance, flipping off the Ring of Honor fans, flipping off the Ring of Honor logo on the side of the ring. And so when the code of honor was supposed to be met at the end of the match, Wheeler Yuta's trying to shake his hand, and Daniel Garcia tells him he's number 1 and walks off. That's Daniel Garcia for you. He is part of the Jericho Appreciation Society. They are heels. They are not professional wrestlers. They're sports entertainers. And that's what they say. That's just part of Daniel Garcia's persona. So I'm interested to see what happens with Wheeler Yuta going forward, and who he challenges or who challenges him next for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. Now, the only non-title match on the main card was Roosh against Dragon Lee. Roosh won via pinfall, and Roosh is actually en route to face Jon Moxley for the interim AEW World Championship on Dynamite. It's going to be an interesting match. Roosh is a pretty big guy. I don't think Moxley's going to lose the title. He's going to hold the title until, CM Punk comes back and they unify the titles. This is just something to keep that title in the mix, make it seem like Jon Moxley may lose the title because he's facing this bigger opponent, he's facing an unknown opponent, yada, yada, yada. Mercedes Martinez defeated Serena Deeb by submission to retain the ROH Women's World Championship. Serena Deeb has been kind of on a title drought lately. She faced Thunder Rosa for the AEW Women's title. She's faced numerous women for that title the last few months. And who knows what's going to happen with Serena Deeb in the near future. It was interesting to see that she was facing Mercedes for that title. I felt like it was just a filler match, and it lasted, 20 minutes, anywhere from 18 to 20 minutes. So it did its duty. It did what it was supposed to do. And then Samoa Joe faced Jay Lethal for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. I didn't see Lethal winning the title clean if he won it. And these guys wrestled all around the arena. Not really all around the arena, but all around the ring before the match. Jay sent Sanjay Dutt and I forget the big guy's name to the back and said, hey, I can handle this on my own. And they fought before the bell rang for a good 5 minutes. I wouldn't say this was the most entertaining match of the night because nothing beats the main event of the 2 out of 3 falls match between FTR and the Briscoes. But it was an entertaining match. It lived up to the hype. Joe came in pissed. And a pissed off Samoa Joe is not somebody you want to face. And so Joe wins the match and retains his title. And then we get to the main event. FTR versus the Briscoes. 2 out of 3 falls for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. As expected, 2 out of 3 falls. This match had 60 minutes left in the event, and it did not disappoint. The Briscoes won the first fall, and they pretty much dominated after that first fall. And FTR basically just had a quick pinning combination to even up the score 1-1. And I honestly don't remember which Briscoe it was, but one of the Briscoes got put through a table that the Briscoes had set up to put FTR through. And it kind of knocked him out of the match. And the other brother, whichever one it was, very good reporting by me, was basically pile driven into the mat from the top turnbuckle. 1, 2, 3. This match had everything. The referee got knocked out inadvertently. There were tables. There was blood. It had everything. It lived up to the hype. FTR retained. And at the end, they brought the Briscoes into the ring, shook their hands, thanked the fans, thanked everybody, and the event went off the air. This was one of the first Ring of Honor events I had watched in a long time. I was interested to see what Tony Khan was going to do with Ring of Honor, having purchased Ring of Honor at the beginning of the year. And it didn't disappoint. It really didn't. And I'm interested to see what happens going forward with Ring of Honor, if they get a TV deal or if they just continue to kind of come on AEW, defend the titles on AEW, and we'll see. I don't feel like Ring of Honor right now, because all the titles are getting defended on AEW events and Dynamite and Rampage. And Ring of Honor is basically just doing a pay-per-view every couple of months. I don't feel like Ring of Honor is their own thing right now. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It could benefit Ring of Honor. It really could. And, Tony Khan owns both. He can do whatever he wants to with both. And to kind of keep them intertwined really helps keep Ring of Honor relevant. Now, Monday night was the first Raw since Vince McMahon retired. And there were some noticeable changes. There were some things that wouldn't have happened under Vince McMahon. Notably, they cut in, when the broadcast started, to a brawl between Logan Paul and The Miz. That really didn't happen during Vince McMahon's time. He wanted everybody to be welcomed to Monday Night Raw. And this was kind of a, hey Vince, I own this show now, from Triple H. And I loved it. Then Roman came out and with the bloodline and Paul Heyman and said, basically said, I'm sick of hearing Brock Lesnar's name. I'm going to put him down. And then Theory came out and basically said, you may put Lesnar down, but I'm going to put you down. and Roman took a jab at Theory and at Vince McMahon, basically telling Theory, I don't see what you're going to do because your daddy ain't around anymore. And that got a reaction from the crowd that I haven't heard at a WWE event in a long, long time. I'm excited to see just what Triple H is going to do in his new role, and just excited to see the direction that the WWE is going to take in the next 6 months, because it's going to take a little while. Look, you've got active storylines that you can't just snap your fingers and drop. Can you reset after SummerSlam? Absolutely. And I hope after SummerSlam, I'm going to make my predictions here in a few minutes, but I hope after SummerSlam, the unified tag team championship, or the unified and undisputed WWE Universal Championship, is split. I hope the unified undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships are split and both brands get their own championships back. This was just a thing to show dominance by the Bloodline, and it worked. It has built their dominance up. When Roman loses the title, he's not going to lose any relevancy. The Usos, they'll still be around, but when Roman loses the title, he's going to take some time off. I said this on here before, but he has Hollywood commitments. He has a baby at home. He's been there for 700 days, and he's been the guy for 700 days. Everybody deserves time off, and it's going to happen sooner rather than later. Now, I'm going to see if I can't share this on here. Share my screen. And it's not going to let me do it. It'll let me do it this way. I'm going to share the SummerSlam. I'm going to show on screen the SummerSlam card so that I can kind of run down it match by match and give my predictions for these matches. Share. All right, so looking at it, and this is not going to be the match order. Obviously, the last man standing match will be the main event. They have said that basically since they made that match. So this is not going to be the match order, but this is the card, and they actually just added that no disqualification tag team match after Monday Night Raw, after the Judgment Day attacked Ray during his celebration. His 20-year anniversary celebration, excuse me. But I'm just going to go down this list from top to bottom. To me, it doesn't matter who wins the last man standing match, because whoever wins is going to be cashed in on by Theory. And Theory's going to walk away with the titles. This is my prediction. This is just what I see happening. because there's two reasons. Roman loses the title either to Brock or to Theory in a last man standing match. And he doesn't lose the title clean because he had to get beat down and stay down to a count of 10. Doesn't get pinned, doesn't get submitted. So he doesn't lose any of that momentum that he has. Plus, if he gets beaten down that bad in that type of match and gets injured, that's the reason for his time off. That's why he's not on TV anymore for however long of a time he takes off. Brock wins the title and then loses it to Theory. And Brock takes off until Royal Rumble. Brock takes off until WrestleMania because Brock is expensive. Brock gets paid millions of dollars for his music to hit and for him to stand on the stage and jump around and show his face. But that's Brock's contract. So either way, however the actual match goes, I see the winner of the last man standing match losing the titles to Theory. Theory will carry them until he may lose them in Saudi Arabia at Clash of the Crown Jewel, whatever they're calling it now, because they've changed the name of it a million times. He may lose it there to McIntyre or Sheamus, whoever wins the match Friday night. He may carry it to Royal Rumble and lose it to Cody. He may carry it to WrestleMania and lose it to Cody. I don't know. But he's going to hold the title for a short amount of time. Now, Pat McAfee, Happy Corbin. This one to me is a toss-up. It's just let's fill these 3 hours that we have. Let's do something to do it. To me, it doesn't matter who wins this match. Corbin, I'm leaning towards Corbin just because he is the wrestler, not the commentator. Lashley versus Theory for the U.S. title. I don't know how this match is going to go. Because on one hand, you look at it and you go, Vince McMahon wanted to push Theory. And if Vince McMahon was still in power, if Vince McMahon was still running things, Theory would honestly probably win the U.S. Championship and then cash in and win the Undisputed Championships. But Vince McMahon is no longer in power. He's no longer around. So that's what kind of makes me think that Lashley will retain his title. It might be quick so that Theory stays healthy to cash in. Who knows? Lashley's going to win. The Usos versus the Street Profits with Jeff Jarrett as the special guest referee. I know how I see this match going. But who knows? Here's the thing. Jeff Jarrett is a legend in not just WWE, but in the wrestling business. Jeff Jarrett has a match teaming with Jay Lethal against Ric Flair and Andrade El Idolo the next night, which is going to be Ric Flair's last match, also in Nashville. That has nothing to do with this match, but Jeff is not going to be there to work an angle. He's not going to be there to insert himself into the storyline. He is going to be there to basically get a paycheck and call the match down the middle. Might he interfere for one team's benefit? Yes, he could. Even though on Raw Monday night he said he was going to call it down the middle. But I see the Street Profits winning this. Because they're upset about how the tag team championship match ended in controversy at Money in the Bank. And I think once the Usos lose these tag team championships, they're going to get split, go to their respective brands. The Usos will hold the Raw tag team championships because they are Raw superstars. Or the Street Profits, rather. I think that's what I said. And then the Usos might just win the SmackDown championships back within a month because they'll do a tournament to determine it. Or they might, I don't know, they might be mourning Roman Reigns leaving for a little while or being injured or whatever. Riddle versus Seth Rollins. I kind of see Riddle getting written off TV, especially how he got attacked Monday night. I think the uncertainty of Randy's injury and all of that, I think it just makes the WWE want to go, let's repackage Riddle. Let's see what we can do. Let's write him off injured. Let's kind of see where Randy is, if he's coming back. I think that Seth Rollins gives Riddle a beatdown and Riddle gets written off TV. Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. I think Bianca Belair retains. I don't think it's a repeat of last year's SummerSlam where Becky Lynch comes in, surprises Bianca Belair and wins the championship from her. I think Bianca Belair retains. Becky Lynch goes in this crazed frenzy that she's already in, and I think somebody else gets a chance at the Raw Women's Championship. And I can only hope that it's someone like Alexa or something like that. Let's get rid of these continuous year-long, 2-year-long storylines. Let's give somebody else a chance. And I skipped over somehow Liv Morgan, who is the Women's SmackDown Women's Champion, against Ronda Rousey. I don't want Ronda to win it back because it's a Brock Lesnar situation. Ronda is expensive. Ronda is a part-timer. I don't want Ronda to win it. I want Liv to hold it for a little while. I don't want Charlotte Flair to come back and beat Liv down. I want Liv to hold it for a little while. It's a new face. It's a new champion. It's something that I'm hoping that this new creative kind of starts to bring in. Let's get rid of the people who continue to come in and take championships from people who deserve them. Let Liv stay the champion for a little while. Logan Paul versus The Miz. I really don't know about this one. I can see it going either way because you got Logan Paul, who is this social media star and has a WWE contract. But then you got The Miz, who's a veteran in this business. And I don't know. This one this one's a toss up. Either one can win this one. But if I had to make a prediction, I would say Logan Paul, just because. And then you have the Mysterios and the Judgment Day. Here's what I see happening with this. It's a no disqualification match. I see Edge making an appearance, getting some payback on Damian Priest and Finn Balor, and the Mysterios winning because of Edge's interference. Those are my predictions for SummerSlam. So, looking forward to SmackDown. SmackDown is the go-home show for SummerSlam. There's going to be a number one contenders match, in a sense, between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. The winner of that match will face whoever comes out of SummerSlam champion at Clash at the Castle, Crown Jewel, whatever the event in Saudi Arabia is going to be called. And then I'm sure there's going to be more, jabs at Vince McMahon and this and that. Maxine Dupree is supposed to bring the Maximum Male Models beachwear stuff up. Friday Night SmackDown might just be one that I skip personally. I might watch it on mute because I might want to see what is different. And then, like I said earlier, there is Ric Flair's last match. And it's a pretty big, pretty interesting card. I'm going to stop sharing this right here. It's a pretty interesting card for this event. I'm going to pull it up and put it on the screen here. It's going to be at Starcast 5. It's going to be on Fight TV. It's going to be on pay-per-view. I would implore you, if you are a wrestling fan, to go and watch the kind of the build-up videos that they're putting on. They're pretty interesting. So of course you have Andrade, El Idolo, and Ric Flair in a tag team match against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. And this is an Impact event from what I understand, because in these videos promoting this, it has Impact's trademark on it and everything. I don't know about this match right here because Jonathan Gresham said that he was taking some time off, like I said earlier in the show. So I don't know how this match is going to shake out. I'm interested to see it, but Jonathan Gresham, Nick Wayne, Alan Angels, and Konosuke Takashita. I don't know if I can say that on the show. um, the Bunkhouse Battle Royal. That one's going to be interesting. Kerry and Ricky Morton against Brian Pillman Jr. and Brock Anderson. Impact. Ooh, now that one's going to be interesting. Because the Wolves have been separated for a while. I didn't even see this match on there. The Wolves have been separated for a while. They kind of went their separate ways a few years ago. So I'm interested to see this match, the Wolves against the Motor City Machine Guns. That's going to be really good. Ray Phoenix, Taurus, Laredo Kid, and Bandito. Pretty interesting match. Josh Alexander versus Jacob Fatu for the Impact World Championship. Josh Alexander is going to win that. He's not going to lose his title there. Jordan Grace, Rachel Ellering, and Deanna Purrazzo for the Impact Women's Champion or Impact Knockouts Champion. Killer Cross. I did not realize he signed to Major League Wrestling. That's awesome. I haven't watched Major League Wrestling in a long, long time. Versus Harry Smith. That'll be an interesting match. Clark Connors versus Ren Narita. And the Briscoes versus the Von Erichs. Going to be an interesting card. That is Sunday night. So, honestly, whatever you watch, I hope that you tune in to What the Hill next Wednesday to hear my reaction of SummerSlam, hear my reaction of this card, Raw, and whatever else goes on in the world of wrestling between today and next Wednesday. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see y'all next week.